Hi, this is BK Black Krishna from manfulwars.com, where I'm promoting polite patriotism to help nice ladies and gents teach kids to be, look, talk, and feel great, and comfortably discuss and share great online info they find offline as part of not just the online, but the offline information war, so they can inform and empower people where they live and make more nice, helpful people making more. People are not respecting each other enough to talk because of attacks on gender and political correctness and so on. So they're watching hours of online content, great YouTube videos, listening to great podcasts, and yet a lot of times they're just typing comments to nobody and everybody on YouTube or Twitter or other mediums, and they're not effectively using this information locally where they live to be nice, helpful people making more, improving where they live. So check out manfulwars.com for more on that. You can comment, subscribe, get in touch. You can chop up clips you'd like and pass those on. And you can support the manfulwars.com efforts. There's PayPal and direct donation links below. Success breeds more, and the more that these efforts have, the more you'll see elsewhere as well. And so that's on manfulwars.com. And this video is called, "Was Drake's Views from the Six album about saving Toronto from being a shithole city?" Was Drake's Views album, or Views from the Six, about saving Toronto from being a shithole city? Right? And I love that term, shithole. It's amazing what President Donald Trump can do, making fake news a term we all use now, and shithole country a term that we all use right now. I'm not even saying he used that term, but it was attributed to him, and it's kind of catchy. And when you're speaking freely, frankly, it's the type of fun thing to say, especially when you're trying to protect your own country from mass immigration from different countries and so on. So now. What's my evidence that Drake's Views from the Six album is about trying to save Toronto from being a shithole city? Well, I'll show you. And for that, I'll go to the internet and I'll go to Google. And I Googled a couple of things. And what I'll do is I'll take you back before Views from the Six to "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." And because that was released in 2015, and it wasn't an official album by Drake. He didn't touch on all the topics he usually does, and didn't have the same video and marketing support, but it was an original mixtape, an original album-like mixtape. "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." And it seems like he kind of snuck a bunch of ideas out with that album, and this is 1 year before Views was released. So "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late" was 2015, and then Views, or Views from the Six, was in 2016. So let's take it back a bit. There it is from Wikipedia. "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." And let's go to the album cover of "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." For example, here is a version of that album cover. Well, here is the original. "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late," as in gotcha, I got it out there, and it's written in that sort of chicken scrawly, chicken scratchy style. And at the bottom, you can see a pair of praying hands there. And what I'll do is I'll go to a better shot of those from the "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late." And it's praying hands with the number 6. Now, why would there be praying hands and the number 6 on this album cover? And I remember being in Toronto at the time, driving around and so on, and you could even see this online, giant billboards which had the praying hands and the number 6. "Please save the 6. Please save this shithole country, or shithole city. Please save this shithole city," right? And like I said, I'm promoting polite patriotism because I can see the problems that this shithole city of Toronto is having, not being polite Canadians who respect each other and communicate well, but in fact, like crab bucket, like crabs in a bucket, pulling each other down, disempowering each other consistently. And that's an issue that we have in this city of Toronto. And one example on the "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late" album is the song "Energy." And there's a video for this song as well. And on that song "Energy," He says, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take the way from a nigga. Fucking with the kid and pray for you, nigga. 66666. Or he says, so tired of saving all these niggas, man. You know, do 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 do. Toronto, do 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 do. Look, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take the way from a nigga. Fucking with the kid and pray for you, nigga. 66666, which is Drake's slang term for Toronto. 416-647 being a couple of area codes here. And so 6 is slang for Toronto. And on that draining energy song, he goes through a bunch of different situations in his life, but he's also speaking more generally about people draining energy. And I know in 2011, especially, normal guys, kind of brainwashed, kind of girl washed, gay washed, and trans washed, everything but men washed, started, just a small percentage at the time, but then it got worse and worse and worse, started to sexually harass other guys, like rude, lying, bitchy, sketchy, ugly girls, or pretend ugly, sketchy old women or wives or girlfriends. And they, hey, put up with me, yeah, play with my hair, put up with me, hey, check me out, check me out. And then when they wouldn't look at each other enough, they started jealously harassing women. And so when women would act like a girl, guys would be like, no, me, start spazzing out near them or bump them out of the way, trying to get that attention, or follow girls around and try and trick other idiot guys into looking, at them like they're a girl, even though these are just normal guys. They're not trying to take being a girl seriously. They're not gay, at least mostly, and they're not trans or whatever. They're just normal dudes that bust each other's balls like this and don't respect each other. And when they won't pay enough attention to each other doing that, just like a normal dude, where I'm like, hey, I'm a girl, hey, check me out. Hey, what do you think? It's like, there's nothing to see. There's nothing to look at. You're not even trying. Drop that tranny like it's NASCAR, or just drop it, right? And so 2011 kind of popped off in Ottawa, Toronto, other places. And then 2012, I made a big stink and I stopped it here temporarily, but nobody likes it. Nobody likes it happening. Nobody else wants to enjoy or put up with it if you ask them, because I've had some guy near me spazzing out like that, and I'm like, not my thing, avoiding it, looking away, holding something up, and I'll ask a group of people just chilling over there, it's not my thing, but any of you want to put up with this dude spazzing out, pretend rude, sketchy girlfriend? And they're all like, and no one puts up the hand, me, I love when that happens to me. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to talk about it as well, because people are embarrassed about it, and they're embarrassed, and they lie, and they argue just to make sure they can do it. And then, Canadians taught to say less about less, and then act rude and sketchy instead and make it harder to talk. They just act rude and sketchy more. And yet people are embarrassed, don't want to talk about it, don't want to whatever. So I made a big stink about it, because strange men, I don't care if some guy's an idiot with me, just ignore him, who cares? Keep your self-respect, don't lose yours, take anybody else's. Tends to isolate you as it gets more normal. But my experience since 2011 is, if you politely ignore people acting rude, it puts you in a good mood. Their lying bitches begging to be broken, which many rappers and hip-hop artists have talked about as well, like DMX with most of his work, from Rough Riders Anthem to Y'all Go Make Me Lose My Mind, Party Up in Here, to X Gon' Give It To You. It's all about that, right? And so ignoring people acting rude puts you in a good mood. Lying bitches begging to be broken, enjoy it. They get off on having the opportunity to be ignored, like girls who'd rather be ignored by a man than act bitchy with a wimp. And other people around know that you're going to mind your business or you're going to be nice. And so to this very day, I ignore it, and other people around, either get off on being ignored, or they appreciate the old mind your business, or they know you can be nice to each other, not get worked up and force you to, hey, how's it going? Put up with me, and hey, how's it, none of that shit, right? And so that's what's been happening since around 2011 in Toronto, and it's been getting worse and worse as men brainwashed into sexually harassing each other, busting each other's balls, making them useless and even dangerous, and then jealously harassing girls. So for thousands of years, they could move slow and slower and feel confident feminine vulnerability with confident masculine strength, where guys are cool, make sure they're not an ass, making people uncomfortable, girls can share, and they'd move slower to get attention. But instead, you got root line, bitchy, sketchy, ugly guys moving faster to get attention. Put up with me. I know it's ugly, stressful, and confusing, but put up with it anyway. And then girls are like, well, every time I move slow, some idiot guy jealously tries to spaz out and get attention that I'm getting, so I'm moving fast. Put up with me. I know it's ugly, stressful, and confusing. And you'll have even attractive girls doing this, right? And so that's what's been happening in Toronto, right? And so when you look at the backdrop of If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, the praying hands save the six, and the song Energy, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take the way from a nigga. So tired of saving all these niggas mine, right? That's essentially what he's saving them from bitching out, from acting like a bitch or a bitch's bitch who makes more bitches who make more bitches, right? Because what else is there? Right? And most of 90s hip-hop is about that. Most of our classic hip-hop, don't bitch out, don't this and that, suck-ass niggas, can't stand fake-ass bitches, lying-ass niggas and your punk-ass snitches, right? Tupac, and they all talked about that stuff, right? And so that's Drake on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, from 2015. Now, let's get to Views, or Views from the Six. And so that was in 2015, and then Views was released on April 29th, 2016 by Cash Money Records. And this was a highly anticipated album, right? He spent a couple of years working on this. And it had some commercial hits on it as well. But if you look at the album cover, right? This is the official album cover of Views from the Six. And keep in mind, in the context of If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, and what's going on, right? It's got, and this was memed a number of times as well, it's got Drake sitting by himself on top of the CN Tower, formerly the tallest freestanding structure in the world, now I think the second tallest freestanding structure in the world, so the tallest tower in the world, basically. And it's just him sitting there, kind of slumped over, like, man, look at this shithole city. I can't believe me, 28, 29-year-old Drake or whatever he was, or 20, whatever. I can't believe I got to save this shithole city, right? And it's him sitting on top of the CN Tower, kind of, slumped over a bit, looking down on it, like in a Batman kind of way, going, how do I save this shithole city? Right? There's a copy of it, in case you don't remember. And in case you can't see it too clearly, that's Drake right up there. There he is. Oops. Popped up the annotation here. There you go. So a tiny little life-size-ish Drake on top of the CN Tower, sitting there slumped over, looking down at the city. Right? Right? Now, you might be like, wow, what does that mean? What does that... what does that prove? I'm like, well, if you're going to talk about your city, right? And Drake's talked about other cities that he's gotten fond of, cities like Houston, Atlanta, and others, right? He could have had an album cover where it's, we in Toronto, we popping bottles, we got the models, we feeling fine, we in Toronto, we doing great, we so cool, we happy that we having a great time, boom, 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 boom. He could have had a celebratory album cover, right? But Views was considered a dark album, a dark kind of album, a moody, emotional album, not one that was as expected as a hit maker. And he even had to make a couple of hit-making albums after that, like More Life, his playlist, because this was an album where he spent a couple of years pouring his emotions about the city into it. And if it was, hey, we in Toronto, we popping bottles, we got the bottles, we feeling fine, that wasn't the album he made, and that wasn't the album cover he chose to make for Views or Views from the Six, right? He slumped over looking down, how do I save this shithole city? And that's after, if you're reading this, it's too late, with the praying hands, save the six, save this shithole city, billboards all over the city, with the praying hands, save the six, save the six, save the six, save Toronto, right? That's what he's thinking, looks like he's thinking to me, on this. And I've given you the background and context for some of why that might be. And so that's the official cover art. And then we'll get to the first track, Keep the Family Close by Drake. These are lyrics courtesy of Genius, which is genius.com, which is a site that lists and gets fans to decode rap lyrics. So you can have the lyrics there, and you can have annotations for what the lyrics might mean, which fans can kind of write up, and then other people can vote on. Like, oh, that makes sense, right? And the hook, the album starts off, it says here, it's a little chilly out there. How you can stand there is beyond me. I think it's a girl talking. It's been a while since I've heard this. But it starts off, all of my let's just be friends, friends I don't have anymore. How do you not check on me when things go wrong? Guess I should have tried to keep my family closer, much closer. All of my let's just be friends, friends I don't have anymore. Guess that's what they say you need your family for, 'cause I can't depend on you anymore. So he starts off with the fracturing relationships. And why do relationships fracture like that? Because of people's inability to respect each other and communicate well, as I addressed when I gave you some context of what's happening in the background of him making this album. And then the verse 1. Always saw you for what you could have been. Ever since you met me, like when Chrysler made that one car that looked just like the Bentley I always saw you for what you could have been. And even when it's business with you, it's personal again. I knew you before you made ends meet, and now we're meeting our end. And it's all because you chose a side. You're supposed to put your pride aside and ride for me. Guess it wasn't time. Yeah. And of course you went and chose a side that wasn't mine. And then, you're so predictable, I hate people like you. Kennedy Road taught me not to trust people like you. How are you supposed to figure out what I'm going through? You can't even figure out what's going on with you. And it goes into the song. But basically, Drake, traveling the world, recorded some of this in England, right? I'm sure crap like this is going on there too. They're the home of a lot of this type of brainwashing. But he comes back and he sees people changing. He sees this pretty girl that he used to know, who's no longer a pretty girl, and who's no longer kind of, going along and being cool and listening to him. She's probably busting his balls for no reason, like is fashionable to do, right? Like, hey, rude, lying, bitchy, sketchy, put up. No, nothing you can say, do. I'm embarrassed. I'll lie and argue. Just put up with it. Act like, so whether you put up with it or act like it, turn you into one. And that's how people become zombies. And then when they don't get along, when they can't be near each other, they, say, hey, yeah, put up with me, put up with me. Oh, yeah, how's it going, Bob? Good, 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 Dave. Oh, I'll see you. They run away from each other and they go try and force strangers to put up with it, like poor mentally ill homeless people, right? Always make people uncomfortable because they always act sketchy, always shaky, always whatever. And then they wander around bothering strangers, trying to force strangers to see it, right? That's becoming more and more normal as people make each other put up with and act like it. So when it comes to that and other lyrics and other parts of the song, and the nature of the Views album, it really seems like he's trying to save Toronto from being a shithole city by reflecting some of the negative things going on in allegorical ways, like artists often do, and you can see that with the cover and the songs and so on. So that's one example. And then, another example from that is the great dance song, One Dance. Baby, I like your style. Kyla has the intro. And then grips on your waist, front way, back way. You know that I don't play. Street's not safe, but I never run away, even when I'm away. OT, OT, there's never much love when we go OT. I pray to make it back in one piece. I pray, I pray. And that's why I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me. I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me. Baby, I like your style. And then against his strength and guidance, all that I'm wishing for my friends. Nobody makes it from my ends. I had to bust up the silence, right? So he's trying to speak on this, and it's a happy, sad song. But he says, streets not safe, but I never run away. I pray I make it back in one piece. With the way people are acting and not respecting each other, that's a legitimate concern, a legitimate threat for not only Drake, but for everybody, right? You could send your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, kids out in this mess with people that bust each other's balls and scramble each other's eggs, and they'll come back a piece of crap. Right? You send your little 8-year-old son to school, and he's bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, happy boy, and then some other 8-year-old boy or girl, pretend bitchy, sketchy, put up with me. I got you, force you to put up with me. Pretend bitchy, sketchy, ugly old woman or wife or girlfriend, put up with me. Yeah, put up with me. Yeah, I got you, force you to put up with me. And destroys his little balls, and the little 8-year-old boy comes home, and he's got no balls. Now he's a miserable little boy because some ball-busting, bitchy, sketchy mess. He had to put up with or even then start acting like, maybe in self-defense, and then end up doing that to other people. That's why you shouldn't act like a bitch or a bitch's bitch who makes more bitches who make more bitches, because then that's sort of all you can do, right? And a lot of that's with the way we're taught to speak and taught to communicate today. A lot of bitching, a lot of complaining. And then when you don't want to hear that bitching and complaining, then you have to force people to see that bitching and complaining, and this sort of thing happens, right? And why I need a one dance, got a Hennessy in my hand, one more time before I go. I need one last chance to see you act like a girl. I need one last chance to see you, be attractive, whatever, as I'm losing this in part. And I remember I've worked, at times during this process of sort of figuring all this stuff out, making a lot of music to kind of save what was being lost, like Girls Make Me Smile, Since I Was a Kid, and how all that works. And it's absolutely true to this very day. And it's cool. I mean, I don't like putting any pressure on them, so I'm just a super nice guy and just cool. It's all good. And so smile, whatever, polite acknowledgement, avoidance, done, or acknowledgement, avoidance, reassurance, no, it's cool, honey, or acknowledgement, avoidance, reassurance, flattery. Once she knows you're not going to bother her, then she can share being attractive with you, right? And if they bust my balls, I got to cut them, or I got to cut them off. And I don't want to cut no bitch for no reason, right? And so I got to cut them off and be good for the next one. So you cut this one off, and then the next one, you're still a man, and you can be nice to her. And she has an opportunity and a reason to be nice to you, right? So, not my bitch, not my bitchin'. If my own girlfriend, if I screw up, if I'm a half an hour late picking her up because I was drinking after work with my buddies and needed some time to sober up and drink some water and whatever, and I'm sheepish and I'm, sorry, honey, shut up, I got a headache. Ah, jeez, here we go. And then she's a bit of a bitch near me. No radio, nothing. Well, how was the party? How was the I don't want to talk about it. It's like, all right, fine. Let that go on for 5-10 minutes because I screwed up. But if I didn't screw up, then bark, yank, spank, or time out, and she'll be happier for it, as opposed to being bitchy with a whip, right? And people in general, brainwashed, again, lying bitches beg to be broken, get off and be ignored, feel the same way. But I worked at construction sites and a bunch of guys there, dudes, speaking freely, not many chicks around, learned a bunch of dude stuff and reflected a bunch of ballsy dude stuff in some music I was making. Strip clubs as well reflect feminine essence and so on. Just the idea of men want to be useful, want to feel useful, and women want to feel special. Right? So men want to be like, I did this, I do that, I'm fixing this, and whatever that, blah, blah. Whereas women want to be like, I'm inherently special. When I'm here, it makes this experience nicer, this room nicer, this party nicer, and so on, and that's why, women art and so on reflects that. You can just be like, wow, beautiful Instagram, wow, right? Whereas with guys, it's more about kind of what you say than what you do, or what you work on or accomplish. Then with women, it's more about how they carry themselves and so on, that they take pride in and that we appreciate. That's why even comedians like Jerry Seinfeld will say, women really care what a man does for a living, right? If you don't do something she respects, then she's not going to go out with you. Whereas guys would be like, as part of his stand-up joke, oh, slaughterhouse, eh? Oh, cool, so you work at a slaughterhouse, killing animals. Well, listen, why don't you get cleaned up, take a shower or whatever, and I'll pick you up around 8, and we'll go get a drink. I don't care. We don't care, right? Whereas, if a woman's like, guys like, I work at a slaughterhouse, she's going to be, yeah, yuck, right? Whereas guys like, I don't care what you do. If you're hot and you're cute and you're nice and you're graceful and fine, whatever, I don't care, right? And that's archetypically, how we feel better about each other. Doesn't mean that people can't do whatever they want, but the confident masculine strength and feminine vulnerability is just ways to make sure we know we have self-respect and we respect each other. And from there, we can communicate about whatever we want and however we want more confidently. And so that's being attacked. So, this one dance song reflects that. And it's strength and guidance, all that I'm wishing for my friends. Nobody makes it from my ends. I had to bust up the silence, right? Now, in this song, he's, again, if you're reading this, it's too late. Save the six. Views from the six, looking down like on the shithole city from the top of the CN Tower. Kind of bummed out, dark, brooding album with some pop hits, of course. He's a pop star. But this is all part of reflecting that. Controller. I think I'd lie for you. I think I'd die for you. Jodeci cry for you. Do things when you want me to, like controller. Yeah, controller. Yeah, and so, okay, you like it when I get aggressive. Tell you to go slower, go faster, like controller, controller. And so, he's talking about losing that type of control that he had from being a cool, nice guy with girls who wanted to be graceful and attractive and feminine with him being a cool, nice guy. And I've seen that happen myself. Now, he's in a different position where he's got to be a lot more social than I do, so he's probably got to put up with and act like a lot of this crap. Whereas me, again, typically avoid people acting rude, puts you in a good mood. They like it. Other people around know you're going to mind your business or be nice. But as more and more people make more and more people act that way, it becomes just sort of normal to do it, right? And anyway, so those are my thoughts, right? In terms of, this video was Drake's views from the Six album about saving Toronto from being a shithole city. My answer to that is yes, along with a fair bit of his work as a good Toronto boy. And I feel personally, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com, that the young man could use a little bit of help. Right? Because, he seems to be doing a good guy. He's definitely somebody who's bigging up Toronto and shouts out Toronto and has helped put Toronto more on the map as an international city than it was before. And I'd like to help the young man out at manforwars.com, for example. So anyway, BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. Feel free to comment, subscribe, share this video, chop up parts you like or whatever. Get in touch with any questions or answers. Financially support as well if you can. There's PayPal and direct donation links below, or we can discuss other options. And you'll see more done offline about all the amazing things people find out online, so that locally people can do more where they live with all the great things they learn and share them in ways that earn respect, that help other people respect each other, and that ultimately inform and empower people where you live to improve where you live. And there you have it. BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com. I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.